Boom, shakalaka boom. You've tuned in to the Free Range Human Show of Choice, your daily dose of reality radio. It starts right now. This is the Clay Edwards Show. I'm, of course, Clay Edwards. I am live here on 103.9 FM, WYAB, streaming worldwide. Hadn't mentioned that in a while. Streaming worldwide at WYAB.com, as well as the TuneIn app and Alexa. Just search WYAB. And for some reason you can't remember that, you can always go to ClayEdwardsShow.com and click the Listen Live tab up there at the top of the page, and it will take you to the same place. When you get to that place, if you're on an iPhone, I can't speak for Androids. I don't have one. I used to. You can go, you can click the button there and save the home screen. Boom. If you'll save that to your home screen, and you can label it whatever, WYAB, Clay Edwards, Kim Wade, whoever your favorite host is, or WYAB. And boom, it's basically an app right there on your home screen. You don't have to go to a website. You don't have to do any of that, and you can stream WYAB 24/7, 365 from your phone, no matter where you're at. I know people tell me they get out kind of in certain areas and the signal's not that good because outside of our listen area. That ought to get you. You know, a lot of people tell me, like going north of Florida here towards Yazoo, it can get a little sketchy. And when we upgraded tower sites, we focused more on the heavily populated areas. And that's just kind of the price you pay to play the game. AT&T has done the same thing, by the way. I have almost zero cell phone service between Flora and 220. So just not a whole lot of population in that kind of area there. So anyway, I digress. We make it easy to listen. If you miss the show live, the podcast is always available. It's something I put a lot of effort into. I spend a nice little chunk of money doing because I want to take my message to wherever you're at. I do not always expect you to come to me. So we always appreciate that. Hit the download, hit the subscribe, whatever it is you do to keep up with it. The Mazda Jackson phone line this morning. I think this will probably get some phones ringing. 601-879-0002. I'm in here solo to about the last 30 minutes of the day. I got some guests coming in to tell you about a big event they've got coming up this weekend. We pushed that to the end of the show instead of the middle of it. But other than that, for the next hour and a half, you got all me, all gas, no brakes. Mazda Jackson phone line, 601-879-0002. The Guns and Gear text line, 769-241-1944. If you'd rather reply or at me on X, formerly Twitter, you can do that at SaveJXN. It's the easiest one for me to check during the show. As far as the social media platforms go, I keep it open. I got the notifications on, and bam, I will read you and give you a shout out for people to give you a follow on X if I read your X comment, reply, whatever, message, any of that on air. Nice little way to help build up your social media platform. I need to be trying to build mine up on there a little bit more. All right, so yesterday, we're going to circle back to the main thing I want to talk about this morning, I guess, is the school shooting yesterday. But before that, the FBI dropped the ball again. Is anybody surprised? But before that, if you want to see a liberal's head explode, a liberal's head explode, a white Democrat, black Democrat, it don't matter, but particularly one in Mississippi, post this on your Facebook page, Twitter, or whatever else. I'm gonna load your lips here, as they say. I'm gonna tell you exactly what to say, and their heads are going to fall. You're going to watch a liberal die right in front of you. It's a community service killing, so to say. Community improvement killing. And you won't have to lay a finger on them. I'm scrolling down because I want to make sure I get my quote exactly right. All right, so yesterday a big story broke. It says, according to the U.S. Department of Justice, Tenet Media, which is a platform that I use a good bit to source my videos, just clips of videos to play for you guys. It says Tenet Media, whose roster includes Benny Johnson, Tim Pool, and Dave Rubin, as well as some others, smaller streamers like Matt Christensen, who's really, really good. If you're not following Matt Christensen, I highly recommend it. So anyway, Tenet Media has allegedly received over $10 million from the Russian government to publish content as part of a Russian influence operation. That's right. The Russians, the evil red iron claw, whatever the hell it is they used to say about them. The Russians are paying conservative content creators, influencers, to post conservative content. And they continue to say that it is Russian misinformation. Anyhow, so I just shared this. And here's the part that's going to make liberals' heads explode. Like they have nightmares about Russia. Like to them, Russia's still the USSR. I simply quote tweeted it, and I said, I'm just going to be honest. I trust Russia propaganda. I trust Russian propaganda more than I do mainstream media and the Democrats of America. That's all I said. And I mean that. That's not satire. I'm not being sarcastic. I'm not attempting to be funny. I do. I trust Comrade Putin more than I trust any Democrat in the United States of America, and damn sure more than I trust any mainstream mockingbird media outlet in America, Fox News included. And I would love for anybody to tell me how I'm wrong. You're welcome to tell me how I'm wrong. 601-879-0002. So I follow that up with another tweet this morning. I don't care what it's called. I'm still calling them tweets. It says, "Good morning, Mississippi and America. Here's your daily reminder that I still trust Putin and Russia more than I do any mainstream American mockingbird media outlets or the Democrats." I did tag the Democrats on Twitter. Have a great day. They can't handle it. Russia is their boogeyman. I mean, Sean twitches anytime he gets to thinking about Russia when we talk about him. Let's look at some of the replies from this morning's tweet. Steven says, "They will call you a Putin puppet, Clay. Anyone who doesn't agree with the left's narrative and policies is instantly an enemy who's trying to subvert, quote, their democracy. Notice it's never our democracy when they say it. Wonder why that is." Great tweet there at Steven there, at Squish Alish. Mississippi Update says, "Yep." And then, of course, here comes the first Rainbow Warrior. Jordan Guy says, "Called me a useful idiot." All right, let's go back to the original post. This is where heads started to originally roll. I'm sorry, y'all might not find any of this interesting. I do, because I think it's a look inside what really makes these people tick, because they've been main veining anti-Russian propaganda, whatever you want to call it, for the last 8 years, whether it was the Steele dossier, PP Gate, any of that stuff. They were convinced that the Hunter Biden laptop was Russian misinformation. It had all the hallmarks of Russian misinformation. They told us all that, this media that we're supposed to trust more than we trust Russia. They've yet to unwind that, admit that that was all a lie, admit that that was a CIA psyop, even though we all know it was. They've yet to honestly cover the FBI and the government, the Biden administration, the rogue agents inside the FBI under the Trump administration, forcing social media to censor people that went against their narrative, that says men can't be women, that women cannot be men, that Fauci's an evil bastard, that there's at minimum, there's a lot of questions to be asked about that vaccine. That George Floyd didn't commit suicide. Anything that went against their narrative. The FBI forced Facebook to censor people. Don't forget, as far as the Democrats go, So that's the not trusting the media. As far as the Democrats go, they were going to start a department of propaganda like it was 1984. They hired an equally as crazy woman who could have very well been one of the actors from Central Casting in the terrible 1984 movie that they made. She was that crazy. And she was going to be over social media and what we were allowed and not allowed to say on social media and who got to have a voice and who didn't. But the blowback was so bad and so swift that they didn't do it. Now, again, these are the people that tell me I'm supposed to trust them more than I trust Russia. Now, I'm not saying, look, I ain't over here cucking for Russia. I don't care, but that just seems to be their boogeyman. So that's who I'm going to use as my example. I, in fact, wish we had a president that loved his country as much as Vladimir Putin loves Russia. Get you a president that looks at you the way Putin looks at Russia. Anyway, so let's go back to the original post yesterday and read some of the venom that I got from these idiot Democrats here in the state of Mississippi. There are a few. Russ Latino made a great point one day. He said, if you just looked on Twitter, you would really think that Mississippi was a blue state. And frankly, I don't have to necessarily look on Twitter to think that. I can look at some of the policy coming out of the legislature down there. We're technically a purple state. All right, so let's see here. Let's start at the bottom, kind of at the first one. Ghost Duster 19 says, with the passage of the 2014 NDAA, Obama made propaganda legal in the U.S. I'm not 100% sure with that. One person agrees with me. Master of the Universe says, I'd vote for Putin or Hitler before I'd vote for Harris. And Waltz, I would never vote for that. Let's see here. Pearl says, I like Tim Pool's show. Sammy says, I trust Russian leaders more than American. So we actually got some people that agree. I know there's some rude comments in here because I saw them. Got more comments than I thought. Coon Dog, Mississippi State fan, says, I trust chicken, catfish, and pork sushi more than I trust Democrats and the mainstream media. And here's Sally here. Sally is a dyed-in-the-wool Mississippi Democrat. I think she may very well be a school teacher. She says, they got plenty of work for you in Russia. Don't let the door hit you. I said, well, Sally, I'm still waiting on all you Marxists to move to Canada like you promised you would in 2016 if Trump won the election. So you first. AJ Perez says, and AJ is a sports, he does some political stuff too, but he's with, I think, Front Door Sports. What is it? I actually like AJ. He used to work for Clarion Ledger, I think, USA Today. Let's see here. Senior reporter for FOS. What does FOS stand for again? It's a sports. It's a national. They're covering the Jody Owens thing, front office sports. So AJ with front office sports says, you ever been to Russia? You think your show would last a week there? It's not about my show lasting. It's about me trusting someone more than I trust the government. I trust Russia more than I trust the Democrats in charge, more than I trust mainstream media. Don Juan the Wonder Boy says, man, don't play like that. They will have you doing some strange things for some change. Look, doesn't change. Can somebody point out any Russian propaganda? I mean, legitimately, all this quote-unquote Russian propaganda and misinformation. Can somebody point out any of that to me? Because all of the misinformation and propaganda that I've seen is from the Democrats calling factual information that hurts their narrative misinformation and Russian propaganda. I'm trying to figure out what they think benefits Russia doing any of this. I think this is all a big, to go back to the tenant media thing, I think this is all a big CIA psyop. And I hate being like psyop guy. That's not really my shtick. there's some other guys on this station that do that way better than I do. And that's not a knock on them. I don't mean that as an insult, but like Jameson, for example, he articulates that way better than I do. Like, that's his thing, is explaining all this stuff. But sometimes it's such low-hanging fruit and right in front of your face that even an idiot like me can understand what's going on here. Brett says, Putin doesn't support America. He never has, and he never will. I get not trusting the mainstream media, but Putin ain't your guy. I'll side with America over Putin any day of the week. And I just simply said, nah, I'll never stand by a Democrat after what they've done to America the last 4 years. They've done more damage than Putin, China, and North Korea could do combined. The fact you don't see that tells me all I need to know about you, Brett. Let's read some Guns and Gear text here real quick. But I'm telling you, you want to see them just come unwound and their heads just explode. Just post on social media that you trust Russian propaganda more than you trust Democrats and the mainstream media, and they just short circuit. Johnny Five alive. Oh, and their head will just fall down. Unknown texter on the Guns and Gear text line says, I've been reading and watching RT Radio and website, by far more trustworthy than 98% of American news. This nation has taken a wrong path for more than 25 years. 100%. Unknown texter. Yeah, that Putin didn't try to kill his only political opponent, that he isn't a strong man. Hold on, let's read this again. Yeah, that Putin didn't try to kill his only political opponent, that he isn't a strong man leader encroaching on dictatorship. Hey, look, man, he tried to kill his opponent. Joe Biden's trying to lock his up and basically kill him. Joe Biden started with Biden, now it's Kamala. The Democrats are trying to lock Trump up. Again, did Trump try to lock up any of his political opponents? Everything the Democrats tell you that Trump is doing, they're the ones doing it. Let's take a break. We'll be right back. Welcome back into the Clay Edwards Show. Guys, it's already Thirsty Thursday. Got a big weekend planned. NFL kicks off tonight. Was the Chiefs versus the Ravens? Was that the AFC Championship game? I can't remember, but I know the Chiefs won the Super Bowl. Didn't they? Yeah, they won the Super Bowl. I remember Taylor Swift and all that. Hey, look, man, you're going to have a little get-together. Go enjoy it. Need a cold drink. Maybe a little glass of bourbon. Maybe a shot of high-end tequila. Maybe you just want a bottle of wine. Swing by and see my folks right there on Highway 80 in Brandon, Mississippi, in the 042, the real Brandon, right next to Sonny's Barbecue at 042 Wine and Spirits, and let them get you the perfect bottle of spirits for your evening or your weekend. Like I said, it's all football all weekend. It starts tonight, and, son, it don't stop till Monday night with Monday Night Football. And look, man, whether it's a bottle of good bourbon, great tequila, gin, I'm telling you, we are living in the golden age of really cool liquor bottles and wine bottles and labels, craft beer too, for that matter. I mean, what they're able to do with the designs and the cans, and for a guy that likes collecting that kind of stuff, which I don't anymore necessarily, but I used to, being in the bar business for as long as I did. Anytime I'd get a cool bottle, a rare bottle, once we used it, I would just kind of keep the bottle. Had a bunch of them forever. They got stolen or lost or something over the years. But man, get over there, just walk. Even if you're not a big connoisseur of alcohol, it's worth going in there just to walk around, look at all the inventory they have and all the unique rare bottles of stuff available. But look, mainly if you are a connoisseur of good spirits, swing by, check them out. They got you covered right there from a pint of Fireball, an airplane-sized bottle of your favorite shot, all the way up to your high-end, hard-to-find spirits, from gin to bourbon to tequila and everything in between. They got it all right there at 042 Wine and Spirits. And what's great is the staff is so informed. They can help you out with all of your choice, all of your selections. You need a good recipe, a good mixer. Maybe your girl likes lemon drops or something like that. You don't know how to make them. Ask one of Ask one of the staff members there. Cavan, for example, bartended at the Dock and Headliners and at the Gallows recently. He's there. He can help you out. He'll jot it down on a napkin for you like he did for me. And boom, you can get everything you need right there, from your setups to your liquors and everything in between. They got it all at 042 Wine and Spirits, locally owned, and 042's first liquor store, also voted their best now that there's more competition over there. So check them out, man. And don't forget, I think the liquor stores close an hour earlier there in Brandon. I think is it 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock? Anyway, they close a little earlier, so be mindful of that. Get over there early, get your selections for the weekend, and boom, supporting locally owned business and having a good time at the same time. 042 Wine and Spirits. Check them out on Facebook, too. Just go 042 Wine and Spirits. Give them a follow. All right, those guys got another business we're going to be telling you about here shortly, too. So looking forward to that. Let's go back to the Guns and Gear text line. This rush. I ran over big that last segment, running my mouth, so we're going to take another break here soon. Let's see. Unknown texter says, Russia and Putin have been like Kenny Stokes during this Chokwe nonsense. You would normally not agree with them, but they're actually making sense in these crazy times. But then go back to doing things that remind you why you didn't agree with them in the first place. Well, my point is more so this. My point is this. I'm not saying I agree with Russia. I'm not saying I support Russia. I'm just saying I trust them more than I trust the mainstream media and Democrats here in America. That ain't saying a whole lot. I want the people who hate Russia the most to know that I trust Russia more than I trust them. But again, the bar is really low there. But when you say that to these nut jobs, the first thing they think is, oh, you want to move to Russia. No, I don't want to live in a Democrat third world hellhole either. I mean, I don't want to live in Russia. I don't want to live in Jackson. The overwhelming majority of it anyway. I heard something about Greenville, Mississippi a minute ago. I don't want to live there. Are they trying to ban guns in Greenville? Good luck with that. Ask Chokwe how that worked. I don't want to live in Vicksburg. I don't want to live in Canton. I don't want to live in Russia. I mean, at least the weather's good in Russia. I like it cold. I like cold weather. Apparently they have some really attractive mail-order brides. Can you get one and just keep them there? Can you get one mailed from one county to the other? Some vodka and a mail-order bride? Send me to the gulags. What's that potato soup over there? Goulash? There's some kind of potato soup over there or maybe it's just called potato soup over there in Russia. I've heard people talk about. A friend of mine a friend of mine had a Russian mail-order bride. Real true story. And she used to make this potato soup stuff that was really good. I don't know if she was a mail-order bride, but she was from Russia. So, you can't marry a chick from Russia and me not call her a mail-order bride. Unknown texter says 042 may have the original Brandon name, but everybody knows that 047 is the cool Brandon. I used to think that too. Until I moved to the 042 Brandon. 047 is very transient. You ever just kind of go to one of the gas stations over there? It's a bunch of weirdos over there. I ain't saying ain't a bunch of cool people too. Look, I get it. Yeah, but it's just the reservoir. I used to live in 047, so I'm kind of speaking for myself here. And, it's a lot of unique individuals over there. If you like people watching, just go hang out at one of those gas stations over there in the Old Fannin Lake Harbor area and just people watch. Let's see here. Roger says, I trust drinking water from Flint, Michigan, while Casey Anthony babysits my kids more than I trust a Democrat. There's the question of the day. What do you trust more than a Democrat? That's it. That's the question. What do you trust more than a Democrat? Or the mainstream media, for that example. Unknown texter, speaking of the mainstream media, please find another source for news breaks. I cannot listen to the slanted propaganda twice every hour. I cut it down every time and miss many advertisers. Deborah Rodriguez makes me sick. I am not alone. Yeah, I mean, look, here's the deal. The news is the national news is very hard to find a consistent one. Some of the other stations have the Fox News ones spoken for. Some of the conservative outlets, they just don't update their news right enough. It's got to be updated multiple times daily. Trust me, Matt has exhausted efforts looking for the proper dependable. That's the key word, dependable news source. It is what it is. We got CBS News. But here's the thing. Look at it like this. You get to know how the enemy's thinking. Hell, that gives us show content sometimes. We'll come back from those top-of-the-hour breaks and have to hear that dreadful news. I'm like, oh, is that what the Democrats are pushing now? So it kind of gives us a peep behind enemy lines a little bit. So let me put a positive spin on it for you. Let me put a little Russian propaganda spin on it for you. Charles says, "Hey man, some of us in the 047 have a FAFO sticker on our vehicles. Hey, I didn't say they weren't good folks over there. I didn't say they weren't good folks. There's obviously good God-fearing folks over there. I just said there's a lot. It's a transient area, more apartments and all that. And it's just there's some weird folks over there. I synced them with my own eyes. We got some good folks over there. Let's see here. Unknown texter says, I trust a paperclip in a receptacle over a Democrat. Ty says, I trust a 10-year-old with the nuclear launch codes more than I do this administration. Laura says she trusts drinks with Bill Cosby more than she trusts a Democrat. Touche, my friend. Touche. Let's see here. Steve-O says, I never trust Democrats. I've never trusted a Democrat. I'll never trust a Democrat ever again with anything they do. No, not at all. This is a popular question. My phone's just buzzing over here. Let's see here. Unknown texture. I trust a blind left-handed undertaker more than a demon rat. Paul says, I trust Stevie Wonder shooting an apple off my head more than the media and Democrats. Somebody says Northwest Rankin is the JPS of Rankin County. Shots fired at the 047 there. At least they're good at sports. That matters in Mississippi. Unknown texture. A cottonmouth. They trust a cottonmouth with a pet me sign more than Democrats. Spartacus says, as a former resident of 042 off Highway 471, 047 is more modern. 047 is more modern. I mean, 042 is playing catch up when it comes to things to do. But I will say this, when you have more recreational things to do, you get more transient people coming to do those things. Like a lot of folks from Jackson frequent the 047 a lot because they've destroyed everything in Jackson and everything has moved to the 047 and Flowood area. So what does that mean? It means Jackson's coming to destroy your area next. They keep I didn't mean to get into a conversation about this, but real quick. A lot of HUD homes over in Flowood in the 047, a lot of rental property. When I say Flowood, I mean like the county part of Rankin right there. And I'm sure some in Flowood too. I don't know exactly their rental stuff, but I have eyes and I have friends that own rental properties. So I know how this works. They're slowly moving folks out of Jackson, low income, single mothers, out of Jackson and into Flowood. They're moving them over there. They're approving HUD a lot quicker for people for homes over in that area. And what does that do? That changes the voting base. That changes the demographics. This ain't no mistake, folks. That's the federal government tinkering with local elections, trying to turn red strongholds, blue. Yeah. Always be mindful of that. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to turn these red, conservative, suburban areas blue. When these big companies come in and buy all these rental properties, they can't discriminate. They do business with HUD. And boom, next thing you know, HUD's paying for some single mom from Jackson $2,000, $3,000, $2,500 a month for a nice rental house in the middle of your neighborhood. And then boom, 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 boom. Next thing you know, Flowwood's Jackson. And I'm just using Flowwood as my example here. It could happen anywhere. But all that modernization, shopping, restaurants, things to do, the same people that are to blame for Jackson not having anything to do are now coming to do those same things where there's things to do. Let's take a break. We'll be right back. Welcome back into the Clay Edwards Show. Guys, you out riding around looking for somewhere to eat breakfast this morning. Hit up Burgers, Blues, Barbecue, Madison, or Flowwood right there at Dogwood. That's right. They've got breakfast served, fried chicken and waffles made from scratch, chicken biscuits, and so much more. Serving it up right now. And at the Flowwood location, they have that they call third shift happy hour. I call it reverse happy hour. You're getting off at the hospitals. You know, it's 5 o'clock for you. Swing by. They got some Bloody Mary, mimosas, $1 off draft beer, and more right there. Some chicken and waffles and a Bloody Mary. I ain't saying it's a great way to start a day, but it's dang sure a great way to end a day, no matter what time your day ends. It can end at Burgers, Blues, Barbecue, right there at Dogwood. Swing by, check it out. And, of course, they're serving lunch. They got blue plates every day at all 3 locations, downtown Brandon, Flowwood, and Madison. Check them out online, burgersblues.com. And don't forget, they can handle all your catering needs from 5 to 5,000, as well as they have multiple food trucks for all your special events. Reach out to them, see what it's going to take to get the food truck out there, and bam, you will be the rock star of the event planning world if you got the Burgers, Blues, Barbecue, catering, or food truck at your event. Swing by, tell them I said hey. All right, Burgers, Blues, Barbecue. We got about 4 minutes left before the top of the hour. I'm going to save the school shooting stuff to the top of the 8 o'clock hour because there's a lot to unpack there. I did a live stream yesterday as that was breaking, and information was coming in. We're going to unpack all that. It's a lot to talk about. Let's ride this. Let's ride this things we trust more than a Democrat to the top of the hour here. This is fun. I like fun every now and then. Let's see here. I'm having to reload my text app real quick. Just takes just a second. All right, man. Y'all have just hit me hard with these. Brad said he trusts gas station sushi more than he trusts Democrats. Unknown texture said. My privates and a meat grinder. I think we can say that. That's about as close as we can get. Continuing on, Paul says, I trust Popeye's biscuit with no drink not to kill me more than believing in the media and Democrats not to get me killed. I trust my safety at a Jackson gas station more than I trust the mainstream media to tell me the truth. I was going to say more than I trust Democrats, but it would be a Democrat that shot me at a Jackson gas station, so it's kind of like double death by Democrat. Debbie says, H.R. Horton is building a large zero-lot line housing development in Ridgeland by Holmes Community College for the same reason you're discussing. Yeah, I'm not familiar with that, but I don't know enough familiar with H.R. Horton, but makes perfect sense. That's what they're doing, man. They're coming in, they're building these low income housing. You might not realize it's low income, but they're doing it to flip these cities. You know, I can't speak for a lot of the other cities. You know, I've had conversations with Jake Wyndham over in Pearl, and I know that they are doing all they can. They are on the front lines of trying to prevent this kind of stuff from happening by strict covenants and rules for getting the energy cut on, just all kind of little things, doing their part. You don't want that. You don't want your city being artificially flipped. You don't want it to flip at all, but you don't want the federal government flipping your city through welfare, basically, through HUD, through rental programs. That's what they're doing. I mean, they've destroyed Jackson, and now they want to flip these other cities. Brandon Presley's got a lot to do with this and some other stuff. Him and his people are trying to flip judicial districts in these smaller towns. There's a battle going on that you guys don't see, a lot of you. It ain't just like, oh, man, we got us Republicans. We got the governor. We're the majority down there at the legislature. Man, there's a whole nother battle going on that you guys don't see. I'm telling you, I recommend going to like the Mississippi GOP headquarters sometime when they have a meeting and just sit back and listening to the war they're raging against the Democrats. It is, I'm telling you, it's a lot more going on than you think it is. And you're going to sit back expecting everybody else to do it, expecting everybody else to fight that battle. And you're like, man, how the hell did the Democrats take over such and such? Well, while you were sitting back screaming hell, state, and hotty toddy, just expecting it to get done, the Democrats were fighting. Of course, I'm not talking to any of y'all. I mean, you're listening to this. You're obviously plugged in, right? You're not more excited about this weekend's football than you are getting out and making sure we save our republic, are you? Surely not. One last text here, and we got to take this break. I ran over 10 minutes that first segment of the show. Unknown texter. It has already happened for the most part in Crossgates. We never had anything happen here until a couple of years ago when these management companies were buying houses for full ask and putting them right back up for rent at $1,700 to $1,800 a month. Yeah, I lived in Crossgates for a year. Nothing happened there when I was there, but right after I moved out to downtown Brandon, that's when some murders started happening and some other weird things. And of course, that's just the murders. I mean, there is other stuff that happens, crime-wise. It's just some weird stuff, man. You start letting in, these. Look, I think renting a house is fine. I mean, I rent my house, and I'm very low key. I keep my yard cut, keep my trash cleaned up. I rarely have people at my house. I just don't do that. I just don't do all that. But you get a lot of people that got a bunch of dang kids, especially older kids, or they got family from Jackson, and they the ones that moved out. So they got the nice house in the nice area, so all the trash family comes there for everything. I saw this happen in my parents' neighborhood out in Byram. Somebody would come up a little bit, and they would have all the family functions at their house, and all the trash would come over, and the next thing you know, cars were getting broken into, all that crap. We'll be right back. Land the plane for hour one here on the Clay Edwards Show. Welcome back into the Clay Edwards Show. As we get ready to land the plane for hour one here, we got about 30 seconds to go, man. Then we're going to come back. We've got a whole another hour to go of the most incendiary show on the radio. Man, it's something I would love to unpack one day. I would love for just one black Democrat to let me know one thing that is verifiable that says Trump is a racist. I'm just looking at some stuff here on Twitter, and it's just mind-boggling to me sometimes, the gaslighting these folks do. This is the Clay Edwards Show. Be right back. Boom, shakalaka boom. It's hour two of the Clay Edwards Show here on WYAB. It's brought to you by our friends over at A1 Gear and Auto right there, Highway 49 South, Florence, Mississippi, for all your automotive repair needs. But hey, they can take care of anything from check engine light, brakes, need a battery, all that stuff. Heck, they can rebuild a motor if they need to. The only thing they don't mess with is diesel engine repair. But hey, if your ring and pinion or anything else goes out in your diesel, they got you. Your diesel truck needs brakes, they got you. They're just not going to work on the engine. They'll refer you to a diesel specialist, I'm sure. But for all of your other automotive repair needs, A1 Gear and Auto, but again, they are the specialist. It's what they are known for here for the last 15, 16, 17 years is your ring and pinion. You may not quite understand what that is if you're not mechanically inclined, but trust me, you'll know when it goes out, and you're going to need somebody you can trust to fix it, and that's going to be A1 Gear and Auto. A lot of you folks, myself included, when I say you folks, like to buy these new vehicles, big trucks, Jeeps especially. You jack them up, you put the big wheels and tires on them, and they lose a lot of power. You get up on the interstate and you realize you can't quite pull over, can't quite merge over into traffic as fast as you used to could. It's because that ring and pinion ain't built for those big wheels and tires. You need to get over to A1 Gear and Auto, let them get you the right gear size in there, so you don't sacrifice power and get plowed over by some 18-wheeler coming up behind you at 100 miles an hour. So I'm always thinking of the worst-case scenario. Anyway, A1 Gear and Auto, they got you covered. Highway 49 South, Florence, Mississippi. Real quick, I did a video. I put 2 videos up on my YouTube channel this morning. One of them of Shad White calling out Sid Salter over at Mississippi State, communications director, I believe is his title, for over this DEI nonsense. We really broke it down good for you, about a 20-something minute video, almost 30-minute video, with information dating back to last week, some back and forth between Shad and Sid. I haven't had a problem calling Shad out on some stuff I've disagreed with, but I also wouldn't be fair if I didn't give him props for his constant attack on these colleges, shoving this anti-white, anti-whiteness, racist towards white people, DEI nonsense down all our throats. He's on the front lines of the culture war. You may not care for Shad, but he's fighting a fight that nobody else in the state seems to have the appetite to fight from a statewide political office. Is it the auditor's job necessarily to be doing this? Probably not, but I'm damn glad he's doing it because they're coming for us. I don't know any other way to say it. Very, very disappointed in Mississippi State. As a guy that's been a Mississippi State fan for the last 30 years, bled maroon and white, for them to sit here and push this nonsense, this hateful rhetoric towards white people for no reason, which is, I'm going to go out on a limb here based on when I watch a football game and I see the stands, it don't look like an HBCU to me. It looks like majority white folks in the stand. I'm going to go out on a limb and guess that their alumni is probably majority white, which I not hate to make this a white-black thing, but since they insist, why would you attack and show hate for your, let's just call them customers? I mean, at the end of the day, that's what we are. We're customers. We're paying customers. Why would you tell the majority of your customers that you hate them and that they're evil and that you want to teach their kids that they're evil? I don't understand that. Anyway, got the video up there. It's on my YouTube. I shared the link to my Facebook page. Just search Clay Edwards, and you'll find it. Join our Facebook group. Just go search Clay Edwards Show. Send an invite, and we'll get you in the group there. You got to answer a couple little questions to get approved. We're trying not to let any bots in, any spam stuff. Lindsay Beckham helps me moderate that. She does a great job there. Every post has to be approved. If you post something that we think is, frankly, fake news, we're not going to approve it. So make sure you are at least vetting the stuff that you're sharing. So I think that's not a whole lot to ask. And also, we did a video, put it out this morning. Jackson just hit 80 homicides yesterday for the year. 80. That is, if you're keeping track at home, that's 7 years in a row that Jackson, Mississippi has had at least 80 homicides. Who became mayor 7 years ago? Chokwe Antar Lumumba. That's right. That's right. Under his mindful watch, we've had record-breaking homicides. And we're just 20 away from 4 straight years, 2020, 21, 22, 23, 5 straight years. 5 straight years of 100-plus homicides. I have no doubt with 4 months to go that Jackson will, in fact, hit the 100th homicide for 5 years in a row. I think the number I pick is 120. We'll end up with 120 homicides in Jacktown this year. That's my number. So a good job, Jacksonians. I have all the faith in the world in you that you will, in fact, get to that triple digit for the 5th year in a row. I'm pulling for you. We're all pulling for you. Go, team, go. We know you'll do it. We have all the faith in the world in you. All right. So, mass shooting yesterday. I was at the house. Actually, I got the notification on the way home. And, so I did a little video. It's like, okay, just thank God, just one person injured. This is about 30, 45 minutes after it happened. I was like, all right, man, just one person injured. We dodged a bullet there. It could have been much worse. No sooner than I posted that video, I log on to Twitter and see 4 dead, 30 injured. I'm like, what in the hell happened that quick? When I was reading the initial report from the sheriff, it seemed a little weird. Just the way it was being worded. They were very guarded. I was like, something just don't quite seem right. And now we know why. The school district got a phone call. They got a phone call, a threat, before the shooting. Now, how long before, I don't know. I was up till almost 11:30 last night, knowing I had to wake up at 5:30, putting all this together, and I couldn't find it anywhere, like what time the threat came in. But somebody called the school district. Now, I did learn this morning it was a different school district, but still, they were aware of the threat. And they said there was going to be 5 school shootings, and the first one was going to be at Apalachee High School. That's where this happened at in Winder, Georgia, yesterday. Maybe it's Winder, Georgia, but 40 miles northeast of Atlanta. And it still happened. Now, we discovered this information came out while I was live on my stream yesterday, and I showed my donkey behind about it, as we all should. And then it comes out that the FBI had interviewed the guy and knew about it. He was on their radar. Now, look, I've never been an FBI agent. I don't know how the inner workings work. But if somebody's how many of the last few mass shooters have been on their radar and they followed through with the mass shooting? The Trump shooter was on their radar. They knew about him. Let it ride. Let it ride. Let's see how this works out. A good old mass shooting, good old school shooting could be politically advantageous for the Democrats and their anti-gun agenda. I mean, I'm just thinking, is that what they're saying in their heads? Is that how this works? Because that's how, from the outside looking in, that's how it feels like it works. That's how it feels like. It feels like, oh, it's a white kid in this Republican area. This'll change them gun-loving publicans' minds. Let's just sit back and let it happen. It's the Trump shooting. Do I think that kid was directly involved with the FBI, the CIA, or whoever else with the government, the Democrats in a plan to shoot Trump? No, I don't think that. Now, I will say that the more information that comes out, the more that appears to look like exactly what happened, but I just have a hard time letting my brain accept that. So for the sake of this conversation, I'm going to say I just don't believe that. I just think that they left the back, if they just said to themselves, if we just leave the back door wide open enough, long enough, one of these nut jobs will walk through it. We'll be complicit through incompetency. I actually got that right. We'll be complicit through incompetency. That's how the government got Trump shot, almost killed. And that's how they're letting these school shootings happen, so they can attempt to do a gun grab. I mean, it wasn't 5 damn seconds after the shooting that Karine Jean-Pierre, the first gay black White House spokesperson, her words, not mine, she reminds you all the time, because you're not allowed to disagree or push back or ask her anything uncomfortable, remotely challenging. Just another DEI hire. I mean, she brags about it. She brags about being a DEI hire. Here's a post kind of circling back to the threat they got. There's a picture of this from Libs of TikTok. It says, meet John Skinner, the Chief Safety and Security Officer for Barrow County Schools in Georgia. The school received a call this morning warning there would be a shooting. Where was John? How did he respond? What precautions did he take? What security measures did he put in place? What led him to decide there was no threat and it was safe enough to open schools? Has anyone heard from him yet? He needs to immediately provide answers. Yeah, he does. I tried to rationalize this in my live stream a little bit, just to kind of play devil's advocate. And I was like, well, maybe the threat came in after the guy was already in the school. He had snuck the gun in a backpack, and I didn't know any of the details yet. But then I thought about it after I got off the live stream. I said, I bet that doesn't work. Giving them the benefit of the doubt doesn't work, because if somebody called it in, it would have had to have been somebody else involved in making this thing a reality. So that probably, it had to have come in before the school opened. Then, of course, find out they're claiming that it was an AR style. I love how they say AR style assault rifle, not a handgun. So how did he get that in the school? I mean, I guess you can break one down and get it in. I guess there's ways to do it. Let's go to the Guns and Gear text line. Read a few texts here concerning this stuff. I think we got some text on it. If you want to chime in, got a few minutes left. 769-241-1944. Charlotte says they were willfully ignorant. They were. Let's see here. All right, that's it on that. The Guns and Gear text line, 769-241-1944. Mazda Jackson phone line, 601-879-0002. But 4 people were murdered. 2 kids, 2 teachers yesterday. The kid's name was Colt Gray. I think he's a 14-year-old. Witness says she wasn't surprised that Colt was the shooter. Let's listen to this little audio here real quick. Here we go.
Did he ever say anything?
No, he never really talked. He was pretty quiet. He wasn't there most times. Either he just didn't come to school or he just would skip class. But even when he would have talked, it was one-word answers or just short statements.
You told me off camera you weren't surprised that he would be the shooter. Why is that?
Just because when you think of, like, shooters and how they act or things that they do, it's usually the quiet kid or, like, that's a stereotype for it to be, and he was the one that fit that description in our class.
All right, let's take a call on Mazda Jackson phone line. Hey, you're on there.
What's up, Clay? It's Elrod.
Hey, brother.
Man, if you think at all that this just happened and it wasn't coordinated at all in any way, that's foolishness, man. I mean, look at, in this day and age, think about Mississippi. If someone called a Mississippi school and said, yeah, there's going to be a shooting, you don't think that there'd be an extreme reaction? Why is this? And Georgia's not much different than us, man. They're not that much different. Why would someone even a hint of something like that? It happens all the time. It's not like, oh, that's not going to happen. That's so far-fetched. It happens. Why would you not extremely be on high alert? Put police at the schools, lock it down, anything. So they had a threat against 5 schools, and all went about their business.
Yeah, and they called their shot and said which one was going to be first, and it was.
And you're going to tell me that they were, we were just looking at the sky to see if the stars were aligned in a way that we could go. I said, man, shut up, dude. If you have something like this, you go in. We learned this from Uvalde. Man, I watched that movie Run, Hide, Fight the other day. It's weird that I watched it right before this happened. And so, and in this movie, they break down what the schools have done to make it easy for people to go in and shoot a bunch of kids. And what the schools have done is literally made a barrel full of molasses and put a bunch of fish in it. And go ahead to shoot them. That's how easy it is to shoot these kids. Just go ahead and do it. It's easy. Now, we've learned it again and again. You figure we would get to a point where, oh, man, there's just a threat. It's going to be a lockdown. There's military. There's going to be snipers in the woods and stuff looking for someone coming towards the school. No, none of that happened. Why? Because it's all on purpose. Every bit of this is on purpose. It's an election year. Look, first thing Kamala did, I'm going to stop talking about economics, which I know absolutely nothing about, and I'm going to rant about how horrible white people are with guns.
Yeah. Hey, brother.
Man, that's nonsense, man.
It is, bro. Hey, I got to take my break, man. Ran over big. Thank you so much. Great call.
Yeah, bud.
All right, peace out. Yeah, hey, look, and that's why I was on that furry thing so big yesterday. To me, those are all red flags for kids with mental problems that could eventually be your next mass shooter. Y'all may not like me saying that. Oh, Clay, you're jumping to the worst conclusion possible. No. The worst conclusion possible happened yesterday. And when there's red flags and you, the FBI, the school, the threats, those are all red flags. The FBI knew about the kid. Somebody called in a threat. Nothing was done. Quit ignoring red flags. When we come back, I've got a couple guests. We're going to talk about a big event coming up this weekend. We'll pick up this school and gun conversation online later today. Make sure you follow me at SaveJXN on YouTube, Facebook, and other places, particularly X and Facebook and YouTube as I go live later. We'll be right back with more Clay Edwards Show. Welcome back in to the Clay Edwards Show. We're live here on WYAB. This segment brought to you by our friends over at Boykin Contractors there in Florence, Mississippi. Give Boykin Contractors a call today for all your construction, roofing, remodeling, additions, and repair needs all over the metro area. Obviously, they're going to come to you to do those things. You don't have to come to them, but they're out of Florence, Mississippi. Good local folks. They got tons of satisfied and repeat customers. You can check out all of their great reviews and some pictures of their work on Facebook, Google, etc. Just search Boykin, that's Boykin Contractors. Licensed, bonded, and insured with the Mississippi Board of Contractors. Look, Bryce is a good dude, man. He operates his company with honesty and integrity because it's a Christ-centered company. Give him a call today, 601-951-7336. That's Bryce Boykin with Boykin Contractors in Florence, Mississippi. Weather's starting to get right. Y'all know I'm going to say it. You know I'm going to say it. The weather's starting to get right outside. It feels good today. You need a deck. Let Bryce come build you a deck. Get some of that big deck energy. You like that? You like that, didn't you? That play on words there. Anyway, Boykin Contractors, Florence, Mississippi. If I wasn't renting my house, I'd have them out there building me a deck. But I ain't gonna build a deck on a rental. I've done worse things. I've done stupider things. But I'm gonna try to avoid doing that. Anyway, check them out, Boykin Contractors. All right, in the studio with me this morning, I've got back again John Gallagher. And a guest with John is Greg Pettigrew. They got their big Night of Hope event. It's quarterly, right? Oh, hold on. Cut your mics on. That would help. Quarterly event?
Well, he does the Night of Hope quarterly.
What do I call it? What did I say?
Yeah, you're right. Night of Hope.
Night of Hope, yeah.
This is a 2 times a year event called Recovery Fest.
That's right.
So
Recovery
it's a little
Fest.
bit bigger than the Night of Hope.
That's right. Recovery Fest. We did this last year. Remember I was promoting it last time it was around. It's over there at the Rankin County Tornado Shelter. That's right over by the amphitheater, right across the street from the Rankin County Animal Rescue deal there. If anybody, what's that? Marquette Road.
Marquette Road.
Marquette.
651 Marquette Road.
Yeah, I get Marquette and Value flipped around all the time. Same road, just different sides of Highway 80, or West Government Street as they call it out there. But it starts Saturday, about 1 o'clock, and then it kind of grinds on to about 8 o'clock that night. It gets bigger and bigger and bigger. More stuff to do.
Yeah. So we start 1 o'clock. We'll have a ministry fair, indoor ministry fair. It'll be inside the safe room. Right now, we have 63 ministries that have confirmed that they're going to be there. What that entails, they'll be there with information about their ministries. There'll be people there with merchandise. So we always say this is a free event. The guys, the people who are coming, the ministries are coming, they don't have to pay anything to come. So if you want to come there, it doesn't cost you anything to come in. But some of these tables will be selling stuff. So when we say a free event, it doesn't mean that everything there is going to be free.
Sure, free entry.
Yeah, free entry. But there's going to be a lot of merchandise. John's going to have Black Sheep Recovery Warfare table set up. There's going to be merchandise there for that. But a lot of these ministries will have merchandise. But there's also going to be a lot of ministries who just have information. It's going to be a lot of recovery ministries. There's going to be homeless ministries. There's a battered women's shelters ministries coming. There's a lot of information that's going to be passed out that day. It's a chance to make a lot of kingdom connections, to learn a lot of what's going on in the faith-based community in the state of Mississippi.
Sure. So tell people kind of what the nexus of Recovery Fest is. Who is the folks that could get the most out of this? So
the reason that Night of Hope Recovery Outreach was started was because Eddie Poole, of course, started it.
Sure.
When he came out of Righteous Oaks, he was going to Overflow Church, and he went to an event called Night of Hope, saw what God was doing there. For a lot of people coming out of our lifestyle, I was an addict for almost 16 years. John was an addict for a long time. Church is not a place that you feel like you should be going, like you're welcome to go to. And this kind of event is reaching out. That's why we're called Night of Hope Outreach, is because we're reaching out into the community for people who don't feel comfortable at church, people who may have that background of drug addiction or alcoholism or just any kind of addiction, pornography, whatever it is. We want you to come and feel comfortable there and at the same time be able to hear the gospel of Jesus Christ.
Yeah, the church has done a really good job lately, especially some of the ones around here, at least that I'm familiar with, of taking the church to the people, meeting people where they're at. Yeah. Same thing with whatever, like I was talking about it earlier in the show about content, putting it everywhere. It's sometimes you got to take your product to the people. Mm-hmm. And Jesus is the product, so to say. Here. Hope is the product. So you got to take it to the people versus expecting them to come to you.
Yeah, we got, in the state of Mississippi, there's a lot of course, we're in the Bible Belt. There's a church on every corner, but there's a lot of churches that are dying right now, and it's because they're not doing what you're saying. They're just sitting back waiting on somebody to come in and sit in their pew, and that's not what Jesus has called us to do. He said, go ye therefore. Go ye therefore and make disciples of all nations, in Judea, Samaria, everywhere, which means in your own community and in the surrounding areas, go and take the gospel of Jesus Christ to people. And I feel like this is an opportunity to do that to people who feel like maybe they're on the outside looking in. I feel like God is raising up this recovery community right now. Because it's booming. I don't know if you know, but I feel like that's why a lot of these churches that are reaching out, they're growing because they're bringing recovery in.
Well, we've created so many addicts through pharmaceutical drugs and these doctors and these pill mills and these getting people strung out on these medicines, starting kids at Adderall at 10 years old. I don't know how old really, but way young ages.
Yes.
We've got them started on amphetamines, and it's inevitably most people who were strung out on meth at one point in time or another, not all, myself, for example, but a lot of the people I knew that I was doing dope with, got started with Adderall.
Yeah.
And so we're creating these meth monsters. And same thing with the opioid. One of the unintended consequences, we got to take a break because I ran over. One of these unintended consequences of trying to solve the opioid crisis under the Trump administration last time, when they made it damn near impossible to get a pain pill for anything, and they cut a bunch of people off, was, well, you just unleashed a bunch of addicts without a product, without a medicine, without a drug into the community to have to try to find it on their own. to self-medicate. And, then what did that create? That created the fentanyl crisis.
Yes.
You created the black market because people didn't just quit doing their medicine that they then got addicted to by these doctors over the years. And I'm not blaming it all on the doctors. There's good doctors out there, but obviously there were some characters that would write you a prescription for anything you wanted. And, and then they also made it harder for people who legitimately needed pain. It's like, you didn't circle the saddest enough face on the chart, so you don't get your medicine anymore. Anyway, so we created a bunch of addicts. That's why it's such, when I say big business, I don't mean that as a knock, but that's why the church is going into the celebrate recovery mode, into the we recover mode, and to start pushing this because there's a big market for it. And there's a big market for people who are sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Absolutely.
Let's take a break on that. Come back, discuss Night of Hope more here with Greg Pettigrew and John Gallagher. This is the Clay Edwards Show. We'll be right back. Welcome back into the Clay Edwards Show here on WYAB. This segment going to be brought to you, and it makes perfect sense to let my friends down at Mercy House Adult and Teen Challenge, their automotive center, be the sponsor of this segment here. Fits right on in. Matthew Milliman and the good folks down there doing the Lord's work, helping beat addiction and get fathers back in homes, which we don't have to have the conversation too often, but we do all the time. You can look right into Jackson, Mississippi, and the fact that they just hit 80 homicides, which is probably more than the rest of the state combined. Actually, I'd bet $100 right now that's more than the rest of the state combined. And that, at the end of the day, the root cause of that is the father not being in the home. Mercy House Adult and Teen Challenge is helping keep the father in the home, get him back in the home, off the streets, off addiction. And you can help support that, whether you want to donate to them directly or not. You can go buy a car from them and help fund that operation right there at Mercy House Auto Center in Crystal Springs. Or if you got one running or not, as long as you got a clean title, sitting in the driveway, sitting in the barn, sitting in the yard, sitting wherever, they'll come and get that son of a gun. They'll bring a wrecker back there. They'll load it up, give them the title. And look, you ain't just doing the Lord's work by donating, feeling better about yourself. We are the most giving state in the world. You also get a tax write-off for it. So you can get the whatever the immediate value is, running or not, or you can wait and get the value for what they sell it for, which could be a couple $1,000s more. Man, that makes a big old difference here in Bidenomics at the end of the year when you got to pay them taxes or get your refund or file them or whatever it is you do. So consider them. MercyHouseAutoCenter.com. Check out the inventory today. Good credit, bad credit, no credit. They've got some kind of plan for you down there. But like I always say, if you ain't got no credit, you better have a little bit of cash down. I don't want to set false expectations. You're thinking you got $300, you're gonna go down there and get a car. That probably ain't gonna happen. Then you're gonna be mad at me. Oh, Clay, you said good credit, bad credit, no credit. I rolled on down there with no credit and no money. I said I didn't say no money. I said no credit. There's a big difference. Big difference. Got to pay to play the game. You got to buy your way out of bad credit. Been there, done it. MercyHouseAutoCenter.com. Tell Brian and the folks Clay said hey. All right, here in the studio this morning, wrapping up the show with Greg Pettigrew and John Gallagher. They're promoting the big Recovery Fest tonight. It's a spinoff of Night of Hope. It's kind of their big twice-a-year event. It's going to be at the Rankin County Tornado Shelter there on Marquette Road this Saturday, starting at 1 p.m., going to about 8 p.m. Going to have all kind of stuff going on, man. If you know somebody battling addiction on the other side of it, maybe still worried that they could fall back in if they get back out, do anything they don't need to do, get around the wrong people. Man, they need a little fellowship. Maybe you're just kind of lost, wandering. You need some good fellowship, some folks you can relate to. Maybe you're not quite ready to step through the doors at the church. Feel like man, when you walk in somewhere and you feel uncomfortable, it feels like the needle scratches across the record and everybody stops and stares at you. I mean, I know I feel like that sometimes when I walk in church, and I haven't done drugs in a long, long time, but you just feel like I don't belong here. Everybody here. And for years when I was a kid, I don't mean to sit here and just run my mouth the whole time, but it's a talk radio show. For years, filibust, that's the word I was looking for. I don't mean to filibust, but, I remember when I was a kid, you're in church and you're like, oh, man, all these perfect people here. Yeah. I grew up in a traditional Baptist church, Altowoods Baptist, a very quiet choir, singing hymns. Kind of miss the old days a little bit with all this modern stuff. But just thinking, man, all these people are perfect people. I'll never be perfect. And then, of course, you get older and you realize we're all a bunch of flawed individuals in there for a reason.
Right.
And so never feel intimidated to go to church because of that. If you feel that way, you're probably at the wrong church. There's some other great ones out there for you. If that church makes you feel that way, you're at the wrong church. That's more to do with them than it is with you. But if that's where you're at and that's how you feel, man, this is a great event to go meet some folks. And you're going to have a bunch of different churches there. You're going to have a bunch of folks, man, go out and talk to these people. They're there to fellowship, to outreach with you, and try to help get you comfortable. And maybe you'll find a church home. Maybe you'll find a crew of guys that you really jihad well with. Maybe jihad's not the best word to use talking about this, but you know what I mean. Anyway, man, this is a great event for that. Guys, I'm going to pass the mic back to y'all. We got Greg Pettigrew and John Gallagher here. John, you said you wanted to mention you got a guest on your podcast that's going to be one of the speakers.
Yeah. Saturday morning on the Black Sheep Recovery Warfare podcast, we believe in the power of testimony. And I take people in the studio to share their testimony of whatever addiction, darkness, or whatever it was that they had suffered through and struggled with their entire lives. And and they share that story of how they were in that darkness and how Jesus stepped in and pulled them out of that darkness. Well, Rebecca Massengale, she is a speaker at the Recovery Fest that evening, and I'm taking her in the studio Saturday morning at 9 a.m. You'll be able to watch it live on Facebook, the YouTube channel. Just type in a search engine, whatever, Black Sheep Recovery Warfare Podcast. It'll come right up, and that'll be at 9 o'clock in the morning. And she wasn't just a heroin and methamphetamine addict for 12 years. She also came out of witchcraft and homosexuality. So this is going to be a very powerful testimony, and I invite everybody to hit us with a follow on the Black Sheep Facebook page, and check that out Saturday morning at 9. And then she will be speaking Saturday night along with 3 other speakers, along with the performances that evening at the Recovery Fest.
Let's take a phone call real quick on the Mazda Jackson phone line. Hey, you got a question for the guys?
I was just wondering when this was on Saturday, and is Righteous Oaks and all them a part of it? Because I went through Righteous Oaks, and I'm 5 years sober.
Amen.
And Greg Pettigrew is one of the best guys I know. So anybody listening, you need to make it here.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Who is this?
This is Garrett.
Garrett, hey man, how you doing, bro? So I'm going to be there.
I sat next to Clay at church a couple of weekends ago.
You did,
awesome.
Man. You did, man. Good folks.
I'm going to be there as representative of Righteous Oaks, but there's going to be a lot of recovery centers there. Voice of Hope, Beauty from Ashes, Mercy House Teen Challenge is going to be there. It's going to be a whole lot of Saving Grace, which my wife works for, is going to be there. Going to be a whole lot of recovery centers there. A lot of opportunity to meet people and to
Amen,
connect,
bro.
So.
That's what we need to hear. We need more people like y'all, man. We're working every day to keep change lives and bring them to the Lord.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you, brother.
Good work, man. We'll see y'all later.
Thanks, Garrett. Yeah, man. I had not been to church in a while, and I popped back in. I've been watching online. Got a little spoiled. When you got to wake up at 5:30 every morning, you get that one day you don't have to. It's like, I want to drink my coffee, and maybe I'll watch it on YouTube. I got a little too comfortable doing that, so I popped in church Wednesday night a couple of weeks ago, and sat there with Garrett and a friend of mine, Rochelle, and some others, and it was good to get back in the church. And you always feel like after you haven't been in a while, even if you're watching it and you're reading and you're staying up on it, when you haven't been in a while, there's like always that sermon talking to you specifically, and there was something
pierces your heart.
It does, and it was something that said, and the sermon itself, not so much, but it was just something the associate pastor there at Hickory Ridge said. And Pastor Terry was out doing a thing up in Philadelphia, Mississippi, and he said, he brought up the old thing about trying it your way versus trying it his way, and I have failed every time I've tried it my way, and I'm like, man, there's a delicate balance that I can do it my way and his way, and it works the perfect way for me, and I'm dead wrong every time.
Every single time.
Every single time. And at 47 years old, I still haven't quite learned that all the way yet, but I'm getting there. I'm getting there, man. Look, I think what y'all are doing is a great deal. And that's why extend the platform out and help promote it, because I know, man, we got a bunch of people out there that listen to this, and we like to have a good time. We joke and have fun on the show and whatnot, but this serious event, and it's a great opportunity for people to wet the whistle, so to say. If you're at that point where you think it's time to, you're getting sick and tired of being sick and tired, this is going to be a judgment-free zone.
Right. Absolutely.
It's going to be somewhere you can come and nobody's going to be staring at you. People could And, well, one of the things too that I learned, man, when you get right on the other side of addiction, and you start finding the Lord, and you start seeing that prayer works and that this works, and you're so fired up to share that with people.
Yeah.
And that's what you're going to get when you get here. Man, you're going to get people who are fired up, wanting to share that with you.
What I love about these, Clay, is the testimonies that you're going to hear at these events that we have are so powerful, and the worship is so powerful and moving. Chains break, man. You literally see people fall at the altar at these things, and you can literally see them come out of bondage and the light come on in their eyes and the chains break off. And if you want to experience something like that, then I highly suggest that you come check this out, because it's going to be very moving. It's going to be a great move of God.
Let's take our last break, come back. We'll have a minute or two. We'll remind everybody who, what, when, where this Saturday, Rankin County Storm Shelter Recovery Fest. This is the Clay Edwards Show. We will be right back. Welcome back into the Clay Edwards Show here on WYAB. We got about 2 minutes left with Greg Pettigrew and John Gallagher. Guys, Greg, take us home, man. Who, what, when, where?
So Saturday, from 1 o'clock until about 8 o'clock, we're going to have this Recovery Fest. Rankin County Tornado Safe Room, 651 Marquette Road. It's going to be, like I said, 63 ministries represented there. We're going to have a skit crew. There's going to be, John talked about people getting saved there. There's going to be on-site baptisms. There's going to be several speakers, several worship sessions. Great opportunity to come and just get in the atmosphere of the Spirit of the Lord, what He's doing in this recovery community. One thing that I do want to mention real quick that we love, a new thing we're doing, we have a food truck that's there. There's going to be a lot of men and women who are in recovery right now who may not be able to pay for their own food. We have pre-bought plates, $10 a piece, that we can sell right now. Last one we had in spring, we fed over 100 and something people who were in recovery right then, couldn't feed themselves, had people who were calling in, paying for these plates ahead of time.
How can people do that now?
So we have Cash App. It's $MNOBLES 1120.
I tell you what, send that to me. If you guys want to donate some $10 food plates to people, I'll send you the Cash App. Unless you know them, you know how to reach out to them. Reach out to them. If you don't, hit me up on the Guns and Gear text line. If you want to buy some food plates for folks, 769-241-1944, 769-241-1944. Or, reach out to me on social media, whatever. Just say, hey, Clay, I want to donate $10, $20, buy a couple plates for these dudes that are trying to get their lives right. And that's the way we give back. We talk a lot of noise here on this show. We do our fair share of incendiary content, don't get me wrong. But when the opportunity comes up to give back and do right and try to help guys out that are wanting to get up from rock bottom, that's where we put up or shut up. And that's what I think separates us from some of the other folks is, hey, we may talk a lot of noise, but we actually put our money where our mouth is when the opportunity presents itself. Guys, thank y'all for coming in.
Thank you for having us.
See y'all Saturday. I'll be back here tomorrow with Sean Yerkeron. This is the Clay Edwards Show podcast, available shortly.